So this is an extraordinary development that I really wanted to make sure to get in the show, even though there's so much going on. The New York Times did an investigation into this deal that was cut. We can put this up on the screen, involving Steve Witkoff here. Keep this up for a second. So the headline here is Anatomy of Two Giant Deals. The UAE got chips and the Trump team got crypto riches. So it all sort of comes back to this Sheikh Tahnoon, an Emirati royal who's in charge of their sovereign wealth fund. So at the same time that he was investing $2 billion in World Liberty Financial, which is the crypto company that's owned by the Witkoff and the Trump families, at the same time, the White House decided to give the UAE something they have sought for years, which is access to the most sophisticated chips that they're looking for AI. David Sachs, also involved in brokering this deal, Sachs being Trump's AI and crypto czar. So, he doesn't have a direct stake in like World Liberty Financial, but he has a stake in this industry more broadly and stands to potentially benefit from this deal as well. So let me read you some of the details here, and forgive me for going long, but I want to make sure people understand how this went down and what the New York Times is asserting. So they say in May, Steve Witkoff's son, Zach, announced the first of the deals at a conference in Dubai. One of Sheikh Tahnoon's investment firms would deposit $2 billion into World Liberty Financial, a cryptocurrency startup founded by the Witkoffs and the Trumps. 2 weeks later, the White House agreed to allow the UAE access to hundreds of thousands of the world's most advanced and scarce computer chips, a crucial tool in the high-stakes race to dominate artificial intelligence. Many of the chips would go to G42. That is a sprawling tech firm controlled by that same sheikh. Despite national security concerns, the chips could be shared with China. Those negotiations involved another key White House official with ties to the tech industry in the Middle East. That would be David Sachs. So they have a quick summary here. They say, okay, so number one, Steve Witkoff advocated to give the Emiratis access to those chips at the same time that they were landing that crypto investment. Number two, Sachs being a key figure in the chip negotiations, raising alarm even from some Trump administration officials who believed it was improper for a working venture capitalist to help broker these deals that could benefit his industry. Number three, a senior executive based in the UAE worked simultaneously for World Liberty and for the Sheikh's company G42, creating a direct link between those two companies while the Emiratis were pushing to gain this access to the AI chips. And finally, some Trump administration officials who were trying to limit that chips deal were fired after Laura Loomer jumped in and said, these people are undermining you and they need to be pushed out. So listen, even putting aside whether you think they should have access to these chips or not have access to the chips or whatever, people deserve to feel like foreign policy, especially significant national security decisions, are being made on behalf of the country and not in the interest of Trump and his shady crypto deals. His net worth has exploded during this presidency, exploded. I saw a figure that, it's hard to tell exactly, but the bulk of his net worth has now been acquired since he regained the presidency. And a lot of it, Saagar, comes back to these crypto investments. I mean, they are such a clear-cut vessel for the most brazen corruption you can possibly imagine. And then when you loop in Steve Witkoff, who has been, at the center of deals with, trying to negotiate with Israel and Hamas, with Ukraine, with Iran. I'm sure there are many more instances that it could go on and on. And he also is involved in the crypto stuff. This is just, it's like world historic, out in the open, brazen corruption, and it's insane.
Well, especially on the Trump side, because, I knew David a little bit before he was in the White House. David is basically a libertarian on these issues. Like, he has a tweet out today about why NVIDIA and all of those people should be allowed to sell into China. This is like consistent with his worldview. What I think is very egregious is the Witkoff deal, where you have the UAE invest. Remember, also, it's really not just Witkoff. It's Jared Kushner and it's all these other people too. Yeah. Steve Mnuchin, his former secretary, the Saudis, the UAE, all these other people have pumped money into their firms specifically for this to also then get more beneficial deals. What's crazy is that the World Liberty Financial deal involves the Trump family and directly is linked to their overall net worth. So that's the question. I mean, even they talk about Laura Loomer. One of the people that I believe that was after here was David Fife. If you don't know what Feith, the last name is here in Washington, it's to scare the shit out of you. It's by Douglas Feith. I believe that's David's father, who was one of the chief architects of the war in Iraq. So yeah, I'm not crying any tears here. I'm not really sure why he's in the NSC in the first place.
Well, I think he was in the first Trump administration.
And
he's been a China hawk. I mean, back when that was like a hallmark of Trumpianism. Now that's been sort of, that's done.
He served
that's
in the State
over.
Department
So
in the first term, as you said, under China. So look, we could debate that. I don't think anyone. It's like the Bush family. They shouldn't be in politics anymore. But the question always comes back to the appearance of corruption, and that's where Trump himself has just opened the door to a historic degree, one to which, with these crypto deals in particular, like every once in a while, we check in and it's just shocking. Like in his very first week in office, I remember, they asked him about his net worth and the reporter was like, I believe that you're worth several $billion more today. And he's like, oh, really? That's great news. Well, this time he bristled at a new question about it and in fact threatened, because the journalist was Australian, to report that reporter to the Australian government. Let's take a listen.
A president in office should be engaged in so much business activity.
Well, I'm really not. My kids are running the business. I'm here. You know what the activity, where are you from?
I'm from the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, Paul Cornyn's program.
Well, the Australians, you're hurting Australia, right? In my opinion, you are hurting Australia very much right now. And they want to get along with me. Your leader is coming over to see me very soon. I'm going to tell him about you. You set a very bad tone.
Well,
go ahead, John.
When the UAE does a deal like
you can set a nicer
tone. When the UAE does a deal, what does it want in return?
Quiet. And I will be, what did he say? I will be reporting you to the, you are hurting Australia very much right now. I will tell this, I will tell about this to your leader. He goes, excuse me? And he says, be quiet. So that's scary, man. By the way, they don't have free speech in Australia, as we all saw during COVID. So good luck.
We don't have free speech here, apparently. And we'll do segue into the next segment. But I mean, listen, we don't know the half. We don't know the half. I mean, we don't know who's funneling money into the crypto. This is the equivalent of, in the first administration, there was the Trump Hotel. And everybody knew if you wanted to get in with good with Trump, like if you're the Saudi delegation, you're going to come, you're going to stay in a big block of rooms, you're going to spend lots of money at the Trump Hotel. Okay, that was terrible. That was brazen corruption on its face as well.
Yes.
That does not hold a candle to what we're talking about here. Billions of dollars. That's what we're talking about here in order to secure your chips or get your goodies, whatever it is. And it's, this one has been revealed, but there is so much more under the surface. You recall he had that contest of the biggest crypto investors would get to have dinner with him and be able to, bend his ear about whatever it is. And since he has taken such a heavy hand and, was willing to punish you, if you get crosswise with him, he'll let your deals go through. If you, bring your gold bar to proffer to him in the Oval Office and pay the proper homage. I was thinking about, we never, I think, even covered that they had that tech dinner and Zuckerberg was there. And he got asked he got asked this question of like, oh, well, how much are you investing in the U.S.? And he was like, oh, $500 billion or whatever. And then you hear him on a hot mic like, to Trump, oh, I didn't know how much you wanted me to say. Like, they are all just doing whatever they can to kiss the ring of the king and get in good with him. And so in that kind of environment, what you think these corporate chieftains and foreign heads of state, you think they have any qualms or scruples about just paying off Trump? Of course not. Of course they don't. So it's no wonder that his net worth has skyrocketed primarily because of this crypto coin, which obviously, crypto, in my opinion, is just like a meaningless pyramid scheme. But if you can get people to just pump in money, he's going to make out like a bandit and sell our country down the river for his own wealth and riches.
Yeah, that's it's pretty scary, especially here. And, there's only a few people actually really digging into it because this New York Times thing took a lot of time. I do want to shout out CoffeeZilla. He does a lot of good job about looking at. There's this more recent case, I don't know if you saw this, where there was a major donation given to Trump and then somebody hired Pam Bondi's brother as their attorney and then just got a dismissal, in the case against them.
Yep.
That's apparently how it all works now. It's sickening.
Yeah, and he's suing, the New York Times did this report.
Yesterday.
He's suing the New York Times as well over, separate issues. this will transition us to our next block here about Jimmy Kimmel ultimately getting canceled.
Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.